Hi, this is Shep Altshuler, publisher of TimeSharing Today. Welcome to this broadcast of TimeSharing Today Radio, featuring news and views of owners and industry professionals. On August 2nd, TimeSharing Today, the National Timeshare Owners Association, and Red Week co-hosted a meeting among 120 concerned owners of the Manhatten Club to provide an update on their situation and the status of an investigation led by New York's Attorney General Eric Schneiderman that alleges significant wrongdoing by the developer Bruce Eichner and others at the Manhattan Timeshare. Joining me today are Gregory Christ, CEO of NTOA, Jeff Weir, Chief Correspondent at redweek.com, Attorney Doug Wasser with the New York law firm Wasser Russ, who has been retained by 24 Manhattan Club owners to help them in presenting their complaints to the New York AG's office, and Bob Schmidt with the timeshare resale research firm Sharkit.com, who will be providing information about resale activities at the Manhattan Club. Be sure to stay tuned at the conclusion of the broadcast to hear some of the comments and concerns from a few of the owners who participated in the August 2nd meeting. Hi, Greg, Jeff, Doug, and Bob. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hello, Chef. Thank you.
It's nice having you here, and I just want to give a little background that I've always been interested in the situation with owners not being able to communicate among their groups when they have an issue that requires some attention, possible legal action, and they're not able to get access to the owners list. They don't have free ability to communicate with one another. And so my interest in seeing this meeting come to bear was to try to provide some forum, at least for those owners who could get there, to come and express their points of view about what's taking place at the Manhattan Club. And I just wanted to ask Jeff, who's the chief correspondent with Red Week, and Greg with the National Timeshare Owners Association, how did you decide to get involved in this communication and collaboration with Timesharing Today? So Jeff, why don't you jump in, because you've accomplished an awful lot in helping that meeting become successful.
Well, Chef, thanks very much. I'm glad to be here and talk to everyone again. Red Week's position is simple. We've got a couple of million subscribers that are interested in timeshare rentals and sales and news forums, and we discovered early on that there was a huge amount of Manhattan Club owners who were posting notices, good and bad, about their experience with the club, and we ran into the initial group of class action lawsuits that have been filed. Bottom line, we started writing about the Manhattan Club on a regular basis. The audience for it grew and got more vociferous and more active. And in recent months, it's become a mini movement all on its own, with many owners very active about the latest moves in the case. So we talked to TimeSharing Today and NTOA and kicked around the idea of trying to organize an educational, organizational meeting for Manhattan Club owners around the time of their annual meeting. We were lucky that Bob and Doug were willing to participate as experts on various key aspects of the Manhattan Club case in real estate. And so we all agreed to put our forces together and collaborate, and we got 120 owners that showed up, and about 30 or 40 more that tried but did not make it. And I've actually had more contact from owners after the meeting than before. So whatever we did beforehand and trying to inform owners, now we have a mobilized group, and I'm hoping it can coalesce into something that has some impact and meaning for all the owners of the club.
And Greg, do you want to say a few words about that?
Sure, and thank you for inviting me as well, Shep. I'll just follow up on what Jeff was saying. We've heard from a number of owners at the Manhattan Club, and the frustration that they're experiencing is compounded by a lack of information being presented to them or made available. We've heard from many of our own members and owners post-meeting about how they appreciated the group coming together and getting the type of information in their hands that they've really been looking for. So I'm pleased to continue to work with this group. The NTOA is a social purpose educational organization. We don't list or rent or sell product. We're really out there educating timeshare owners. And when owners have legitimate grievances or have been subjected to developer abuse, the NTOA wants to be there to assist owners where they can.
Jeff, do you want to just talk a little bit about the background and the genesis of the investigation by the Attorney General in New York?
The case has been brewing for some time. It's actually been a legal probe officially for a year and a half now. It was triggered by many complaints to the Attorney General's office from owners who said they could not use their timeshare or make reservations, and they also didn't like the rapidly rising maintenance fees. Anyway, the AG went into an undercover investigation mode in spring of 2014, and they went in and actually recorded timeshare presentations and sales pitches. And based upon those recordings, they filed a ex-parte order under the Martin Act in New York and got a court order July 2014 to shut down the timeshare business on grounds that the AG alleged were a bait-and-switch operation at the Manhattan Club. Since then, there has been many, many motions filed and counter motions filed and paper filed in court by the developer, Ian Bruce Eichner, who's sort of the equivalent of a defendant in this civil matter, and the Attorney General, Eric Snyderman, who is actively pursuing the Manhattan Club on many civil fraud claims right now, and also delving into possible criminal investigations for misuse of money at the club. I'll let Doug explain this in more cogent detail, but the bottom line is the case has been in court for a year. There's been an investigation that preceded the actual court filing. Now there's another investigation on whether Eichner's team has properly complied with all the court orders since July of 2014. It is a wide-ranging case, nowhere near in sight of an end, and owners are following it diligently because in New York they can actually get access to the court documents. So with that, I will turn it over to Doug to expound.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Shep, for organizing this podcast. And thank you also, Jeff, and to Red Week for maintaining an active forum for Manhattan Club timeshare owners to go to and find out what's happening. That's such a valuable resource for all owners. As Jeff has indicated, there's been a tremendous amount of frustration by Manhattan Club owners, both with respect to their ability to secure rooms at the Manhattan Club, secure reservations at the Manhattan Club, and with respect to rising dues each year. And that frustration is doubled by the fact that it appears that any time you want to reserve a room on a retail basis, and that is just simply pay for a room at the Manhattan Club, that's easily accessible. So you pay your annual dues, you buy your timeshare unit, you're unable to get a room, but if you pay for your timeshare unit, pay your dues, but are willing to double pay in terms of buying a retail room, you're able to get that type of reservation. That's been a very frequent complaint by old timeshare owners. As Jeff has indicated, the Attorney General has started its investigation, issued its order last summer. It petitioned the court for an order. The court granted an order. It did not shut down the timeshare business. What the order did do was the order shut down further sales of timeshare units. The timeshare business is theoretically still active if owners are able to secure reservations. The order also froze bank accounts controlled by Manhattan Club and froze bank accounts controlled by the sponsor because of strong suspicions that money was going where it shouldn't be going.
What brought you into this quagmire, this ongoing situation that we hope will have a positive end for the owners?
Told that about 3 to 4 years ago by one particular timeshare unit owner living in Baltimore, and he had been a Manhattan Club unit owner for a number of years, and had starting 3 to 4 years ago started to experience enormous difficulty in reserving rooms as promised in the various timeshare organizational documents, commitments, and agreements that he had committed to, and presumably that the Manhattan Club had committed to. This particular fellow had spent tens of thousands of dollars to purchase his particular unit and had been faithfully paying his dues. He was unable to use his unit despite having paid his dues, despite having fully paid up for for his unit purchase. During the course of that consultation, I advised him that the likelihood of him cost-effectively suing the sponsor, cost-effectively suing the Manhattan Club was not great. I mean, it would cost tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees to start an action against the sponsor. So I recommend him, this is several years ago, that his best course was to file a complaint with the Attorney General. Years later, and this was last summer, this same person came to me and said, well, we did it. I can't say that his complaint is what generated the Attorney General's action. I expect that as Jeff indicated, there are hundreds of similar complaints having been made to the Attorney General. But this gentleman came back to me and said, here's what happened, and I'd like to engage you in connection, and others would like to engage you, meaning he would like to engage my firm to, how shall I say, liaise or perhaps lobby the Attorney General, present a point of view to the Attorney General as the Attorney General's investigation was proceeding. So that's my introduction to the quagmire.
I'd just like to ask Greg Christ one question. Greg, from your perspective with NTOA, what is the trend and how common is it that you see attorneys general from around the country getting involved in litigation against timeshare developers and others? What's the trend there as far as you can see?
Well, there's certainly a great deal of litigation going on in the timeshare world, and that's unfortunate. But when it comes to issues like this, where you've got significant grievances, legal and otherwise, it creates a large amount of attention on social media, and that is being virally spread across other platforms. Other timeshare owners are seeing these same issues, some of these same issues happening at their own resorts, and they're taking issue with it. So the question is Manhattan Club an isolated issue? I don't think it is. I think there are several other resort developers, some are independent and otherwise, that have some real problems on their hands. And when you look at what the mix of the problems are, it's because you have a multitude of organizations that are pulling inventory away from the very owners who should be entitled to use these properties first. So are they, in fact, as lawyers would clearly say, Doug, are they getting the benefit of the bargain?
Well, the benefit of the bargain, this is Doug speaking, the benefit of the bargain, and in response to Greg's question, the benefit of the bargain means that if you're fully paid up, if you've kept the promise that you've agreed to keep, you've paid what you've agreed to pay, then you should be entitled to book a room. And you should not be subordinated. You should not have to wait in line behind some retail usage of the room that benefits perhaps the sponsor. So those who are fully paid up and unable to use their rooms, of course, they're not getting the benefit of their bargain.
So now, where is this case headed, from your perspective, and does it seem to your clients and others that this is just an ongoing, interminable situation, or is there really direction and momentum, and what's the end game, or when do you think that this thing may come to fruition of some kind or adjudication of some sort?
Where's the case going? So the Attorney General is in the process of conducting an investigation. That investigation is being resisted by Mr. Eichner and the other sponsor parties, but the Attorney General is only in the investigation stages at this point in time. The investigation at some point in time, I expect, will be completed. At the completion of those investigations, procedurally, the Attorney General makes some sort of judgment as to whether some sort of prosecution is required, either civil prosecution or criminal prosecution, against the Manhattan Club controlling parties for fraud, for perhaps some sort of relief in favor of the Manhattan Club unit owners. How long the current investigation process will take until we get to the point where the Attorney General makes a determination to engage in the next litigation round, one can never say. It's not helpful that the sponsor parties and the sponsor principals are resisting the investigative phase. What can happen here? One cannot say. I expect that at some point in time, I think this investigation has already uncovered a lot of information that's surprising in the nature of wrongful conduct, I think. And so I think the likelihood is that the investigation will conclude that some sort of fraud has occurred, and that unless there's some sort of settlement, that the Attorney General will start the next round of litigation. What the end game is going to be could be anything. I mean, the Attorney General has it within his power to completely unwind sales. Completely, I'm not quite sure how that applies to a timeshare that's been in existence for 18 years already, and that's a unique thing. I mean, I've been involved with other condominium offerings, other real estate public offerings in the state of New York, where the Attorney General has determined that the entire offering has to be unwound and everybody gets their money back. But those are offerings which never really got out of the starting gate. People just received their purchase deposit refunds back, and everyone went their separate ways. A little different when you have an ongoing operation that perhaps was working to some degree for the first few years, and then just completely went off the rails later on in the process. So, but I'm thinking that at some point in time there's going to be some award, some sort of settlement that's going to be negotiated by the Attorney General. I can't tell you when that happens, and no one can really tell you what the nature of the relief is going to be and who's going to receive it.
I think at this point in time, the owners were very happy. They felt some degree of community by being able to attend that meeting on August 2nd. Some of them have invested a lot of money. Some of them are extremely upset. But the spirit at that meeting was somewhat upbeat, that they had this chance to get together and voice their opinion. Now, we're getting calls, and I'm sure NTOA and Red Week, they're getting calls from their members and readers saying, when's the next meeting going to take place? And that's something that might happen. But is there anything that the owners can do? They're not able to communicate with each other. They don't have access to the owners' lists. And here they have a situation where there's obviously some legitimate grievances. Is there any way to compel either the Manhatten Club or work with the Attorney General to get access to the owners list so they can have more free communication? Or are they going to be limited to coming to meetings or using the forums at Red Week and TimeSharing Today and NTOA and social media? Where does that stand in terms of owner-to-owner communications? Doug, you want to address that?
Sure. I wouldn't devalue the forums. I think they're doing a great job, and I would encourage anyone who is a Manhattan Club unit owner to bookmark every Manhattan Club forum that they can and to check it regularly. The best thing Manhattan Club owners can do at this point in time is to stay in communication with each other. Those who were most frustrated were those who thought that they were the only ones who were on the wrong end of this. So seeing others similarly situated, seeing others take action, or at least know that there's action being taken on their behalf, it's extraordinarily helpful. At some point in time, as I said, the Attorney General, I think, is going to fashion some award or maybe fashion some sort of settlement, and at that point in time, it would be nice to be able to deliver some Manhattan Club input to the Attorney General in the fashioning of that type of award or settlement so that the Attorney General is fully informed of what the concerns of Manhattan Club unit owners are thinking.
Bob, is there a sense of where the owners are standing? Where are they in terms of their interest to seeing the situation righted in their favor and continuing along with their ownership versus let me just get out? I'll walk away if I can just get away clean. I don't want the obligations, and something else that might be somewhere in the middle. Do you have a sense of that?
Well, that's interesting. I had an opportunity to speak with some owners at the meeting, and it seemed like it's kind of a mixed bag. Some, I think, would like to get out. Others actually didn't have much of a problem. Some of the owners that I spoke with were exchanging every year, turning in their inventory with RCI or II, and they were having great luck getting other exchanges at other resorts. So they were actually pleased with their ownership. But then I did speak with some who, they sounded like they were ready to get out. They were frustrated. And from my standpoint, we're strictly looking at the historical sales transaction data. So other than what I learned at the meeting, I really don't have any insights into the current mood of the owners overall.
Jeff, do you happen to have any thoughts along those lines?
Yeah, I'll make it very brief. From the feedback we actually got at the meeting and from elsewhere, we got sort of a mixed bag of emotion. One, almost everybody likes the Manhattan Club when they can use it. Two, a good sizable 25%, maybe 30% need to get out for whatever reason. They can't deal with it anymore. They're getting too old, too tired. They don't want to pay the maintenance fees. So I'd say roughly a third of the owners that are dealing with us on a regular basis just want a way out. So they're looking for exit strategies, a good resale value price, things like that. Another third want to retain ownership, but they want to do so only if maintenance fees are reduced. And I think that's a group of owners who are a little bit with one foot in reality and one foot in wishful thinking. But they do want to retain ownership only on their terms. The third group wants to keep their timeshare, and they're trying to weather the storm of having to pay annual maintenance fees, even if they cannot use the timeshare. And those people are the ones who are most vested in the Attorney General doing something that gives them a positive outcome. So I lump the groups into three groups. One wants to get out, one wants to maintain ownership no matter what, and a third wants to maintain ownership if they get what they want. And so you get these various emotions. But as I said, the unifying emotion is they all love the club when they get their shot to get there, if they can get in.
Greg, do you have any insights into where these owners might be standing?
Well, I tend to agree with some of the segmentation that Jeff stated, but I'll say something else that's pretty important. You have these owners now combing through the Attorney General's motions and filings, and they're also reading the responses and some of the really ugly banter that typically goes back and forth between legal counsel. But I think what everybody's forgetting here is that these owners are people, and they have feelings, and feelings are neither right or wrong. They just are. And the perception that they have about what's happening at Manhattan Club is, in fact, their reality. And so they are consumed anytime they see a release of information from the New York Attorney General or they see something coming up in social media. They're consumed with it. And because they have vested interest, a significant financial investment in this property, many of them do feel that they are owed something, whether that is financial restitution, access, significant reduction of maintenance fees. The spectrum of complaints is wide. But I can say this, the majority of the owners feel that something is just inherently wrong with the management and the program that is going on at Manhattan Club, and they want change. So, the NCLA is certainly listening to these owners. We're documenting a lot of information. We're going to be sharing that with Red Week and TimeSharing Today, and obviously our other partners at Sharkit. And of course, as relationship continues to go down this road with some of these folks, as Jeff said, they are coalescing. They want to get together and have more meetings. Perhaps not maybe in New York City, but they want to have other meetings. They want to get more owners involved. The phone chain, the email chain, and of course the social media viral activity is extremely exciting to see as these people begin to work closer together to find out what's really going on.
Now, Bob, you're the number cruncher in this. You've done some amazing research. Just talk a little bit about how you compiled the research and what your findings were, relative to resales and buybacks, over whatever period you conducted your analyses.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I mean, we at Sharkit, we compile timeshare resale data. We actually go a little bit beyond that. We compile the developer data as well when we can get it, and there's quite a bit of that. So we've actually compiled over 1 million sales transaction records since 2012. And of that 1 million or so, approximately 90,000 are resale transactions. And in the case of the Manhatten Club, we see, for example, in 2012, we see 74 resales taking place from one owner to another at an average sale of $1,700. In 2013, there were 26 resales at an average sale of about $3,500. And in 2014, there were 35 resales at $2,400 average price. And then so far in 2015, we've seen just 9 resales so far, a little bit lower, substantially lower actually, $791 on average. So that's what we're seeing on the resale side. That's a total of 144 resales since 2012.
And has the developer, they've taken weeks back from owners, haven't they repurchased inventory from owners? Is that true?
The developer has either bought back or taken back deeds in lieu of foreclosure, or actually taken back foreclosures, yes, pretty substantially. 2012, we see over 600 such transactions. The average that they were paying was $188. That's very low. In 2013, we saw almost 800 of those transactions. Very low, similar low number. And in 2014, we saw about 165 at $97 on average. Since 2012, there have been over 1,500 transactions where the developer has taken back a timeshare from a Manhattan Club owner.
I questioned the underlying value of the property, and it was pretty much agreed that it's worth tens of millions of dollars. It's in a terrific location in the heart of Manhattan. But if you look at tens of millions of dollars, what was the value of all the timeshares that the developer sold over the period of time that they were engaged in active sales?
Could I respond to that, Shep? Doug? I don't have a total number. I know that that the sponsors' motion papers in various motion practice with the Attorney General, the sponsor has bragged that they have sold $400 million worth of units. I don't know how that translates into the numbers of units, but they claim they've sold and $400 million, they've engaged in $400 million worth of sales. Shep, you did ask at the August 2nd meeting as to what the value of these, what the value of the hotel would be if it was sold as a hotel, I think, and my response was tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars. And afterwards, I had thought, it occurred to me in Manhattan, the last time I looked at this, and this was about a year ago or so, hotels were selling for what they call $500,000 to $600,000 a key. That is $500,000 to $600,000 a room. So if we're talking about 286 rooms, times that for somewhere between $500,000 and $600,000. Let's say, for argument's sake, just $550,000. That's $157 million. If that building was sold as a straight hotel.
Okay, well, it creates some perspective in terms of the value of the timeshare sale in relationship to the property itself. It's often looked at, what does it cost to develop a condominium And then what happens when a developer splits that up among 52 intervals, and what do they end up in terms of the actual selling price compared to the cost of developing that unit? It's a hefty number in favor of the developer, holding aside the fact that they have extensive marketing costs along there. Jeff, so what happened at the owners meeting that took place with the developer?
We had our meeting that we triple hosted on August 2nd, and it was at a nice conference center. The room was full, good turnout, good energy. And we talked to people at our owner meeting whether they were going to attend the August 4th annual Manhattan Club Association meeting. And fortunately, many people were planning to do both. And since I'm sort of a curious fellow, I tried to do both as well. So I went to the August 4th meeting along with many Manhattan Club owners, and most of them got in. But curiously enough, some Manhattan Club owners were denied entrance to their own meeting. I was also denied entrance. That is not a surprise since I'm not an owner. But there were some Manhattan Club members that were very frustrated. They made the effort to go to Manhattan, get to the right building on time, and then they were told by security that they had not been properly vetted to get inside the building, or they would have to go up to a penthouse suite for the actual board meeting. So the irony of it is that by our count, there were 53 Manhattan Club members that actually got in the room, went to the penthouse, and when the board meeting started, the general manager stood up and read a statement saying that because of the Attorney General's investigation, they would be taking no questions from the floor from owners, and the board meeting would proceed without any discussion. So it turns out that the 53 Manhattan Club owners that attended the meeting got absolutely spit on in their face because they were not allowed to participate, even if they made a lot of effort to get there, and they were effectively shut out of their own governing body's decision-making process about proxies and everything else. So the Manhattan Club owners that left that building about a half an hour later were a little more angry than the ones who had been denied entrance, because they thought they were going to be able to participate in their meeting and ask some questions about the management team and about what has happened in this case and get more fully informed. Instead, they got informed that they would get nothing. And so it's sort of like a double slap in the face for owners who made the effort. They didn't get any additional information from the Manhattan Club, but what I find consistent is that in this whole case over the last year, the Attorney General has said very little publicly. The defensive team for the Eichner Group and companies said very little publicly, and the Manhattan Club absolutely refuses to say anything, even to its own owners, about what is going on. So the travesty of this whole thing is the people who paid money in the Manhattan Club are not getting a dime's worth of information from the club that's supposed to serve them. And it's really a poor example of awful public service for customer service.
Well, I think we accomplished a lot today. I'd like to just go around the table here and ask Jeff, if anyone is interested in exploring this through Red Week, how do they go about doing that?
It's pretty easy. We have lots of avenues on Red Week. It's redweek.com, easy to find. You do a Google search on it by my name or by Red Week or by Manhattan Club, and all roads will lead to the Emerald City on Red Week. We have a Manhattan Club forum page. We have a Manhattan Club lawsuit page. We also have a Manhattan Club landing page, which includes all of the names and phone numbers of all the people who were involved. And most important, for owners who are still on the fence, not knowing what to do, the Attorney General is still accepting their input on what happened to them with their timeshares. So the action item for owners that's very, very obvious and right in front of them is to go on redweek.com or call the Attorney General's office directly, get their contact information, and participate. So Red Week's trying to make it easy for people to find us and find information about the club. So redweek.com, and when there's nothing else to do, you just email me, jeff@redweek.com.
And Greg, do you want to say, how folks can reach you at the National Timeshare Owners Association?
Sure, Shep. The easiest way to reach me is at my email, greg@ncoaassoc.com, ncoaassoc.com, or certainly they can call the NCOA Owner Ask Helpline for more information. We are working closely with Red Week on this issue, as a joint program, and working closely with their team to put up more information on their blog.
And Doug, how about you? Is there some contact information for your firm?
Well, for sure. So, thank you, Shep. I represent a group of owners. We were at 21 owners at the time of the August 2 meeting. We're now up to 24 owners. And what my group does is the group as a whole tries to establish a liaison with the Attorney General, ongoing liaison to filter in complaints, acts as scouts, sort of, for facts that are ongoing. And we're kind of hopeful that the group can enlarge so that we can speak in a unified voice when there is a time that the Attorney General fashions some sort of award, some sort of relief for the Manhattan Club unit owners. I can be reached at my email address. It's doug@wassruss.com, WASSRUSS, wassruss.com. Or if anyone wants to call, I'd be more than glad to speak to them. I speak to several owners every week. My firm phone number is 212-430-6040.
And Bob, if people want to explore some of the details of your research at Sharkit, how do they go about doing that?
Just go up to sharket.com, SHARKET.com. Type in the name of the resort you're interested in, and you should be able to find it. We have data on over 1,500 timeshare resorts. And if you want to contact me personally, you can get in touch with me at bob@sharket.com.
This is Jeff. I have one more thing I'd like to add, Shep, that I have neglected before. That is, people that did not attend the meeting, or those who did, if they want to listen to the complete audio of that meeting, they can do so by visiting redweek.com for the menu of audio items, so they can hear the legal discussion, the resale value discussion, and the other introductory pieces. And for a lot of people, they've been hammering at us to get more of audio sections up there so they can catch up. So that's one vital takeaway I want to leave with anyone listening to this, that on redweek.com and perhaps TST and NTOA, the audio portions are now readily available.
Well, thank you all for taking the time today. This is another step towards keeping the owners in touch about what's going on. We're going to have an article in the upcoming issue of TimeSharing Today, and as the word spreads and we do have another meeting, I have a feeling that we may have to look for a larger forum in order to hold that meeting, and that would be beneficial for everybody concerned, and I'm sure you all agree. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Shep.
And before we go, I did have the opportunity to speak to a few owners who attended the August 2nd meeting, and I thought it'd be good to take a few minutes to hear from them. We'd like to say a quick hello to Janice Ferris, who is Manhatten Club owner, and just say a few words about why you decided to attend the meeting today.
Okay, I decided to attend today because I'm so frustrated with the Manhatten Club. Every time I try to make a reservation, they tell me the time's not available. I lost one whole week because I couldn't get times. They gave me 3 choices this past year to come, and they were 3 days in July, which is the hottest time of the month, and I couldn't come in July. But every time I look, they're available as hotel rooms. So I stopped paying my maintenance this year. Well, it's not due until November anyway, but they try to make me pay it in January. So, and the maintenance fees keep going up. They told us in 2014 that they were giving up some of the hotel rooms and going to have more rooms for the owners, and they didn't. Well, that was in 2013. It was supposed to start in 2014. Still can't get rooms there. So that's why I'm here, because I paid a lot of money, and I'd like to see legal action taken against them for fraud, because I think that they lied to us. They told us we could get rid of it if we wanted to. We can't. They told us, I come to Manhattan a lot, and I wanted a place where I could come and stay 2 days at a time. And every time I try to come, I have never gotten a reservation I wanted.
And where do you live?
I live in Sherman, Connecticut.
Hi, and you are?
I'm Dave Murray from Baltimore.
Baltimore. Tell us a little bit about your experiences here today. What you think you're going away with, which is the most important thing as a result of the meeting.
I think going away is that we have a lot of unity in terms of direction and the fact that we all have the same basic issues, that we can help support the Attorney General's actions and efforts going forward, and hopefully if there's more for us to provide, then I think as a group we can provide that.
Excellent. And how long have you owned at the Manhatten Club?
Since 1990.
1990. Do you own other timeshares?
No, just this one.
Okay, so you're suffering or experiencing
Very much so.
the same
Extreme frustration. To the point I wrote letters to Mr. Salvador and got a response back, and with no results.
Right. And you feel that this meeting provides a little bit of a platform?
Well, yeah, it gives me the sense that there's a lot of other people in my boat and that we need to get something done. This is totally wrong.
What is your name?
Irene Smalls.
And where are you from?
I'm from originally from New York City, but I live in Boston.
Boston now, and I know that you've been very proactive on this.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about your experience here today. How was it for you? Did you feel that it sort of set the groundwork for something? What do you think you're leaving here with as a result of this meeting of the owners?
Well, I think that the real impact of a meeting like this is that it shows that there's so many owners who've had similar experiences, and also that the facts of the case and the reality of the Manhattan Club's operation has been to defraud the owners. And the idea that we have facts, we have figures, we have numbers, we have research, all of these things to help support us in getting justice from the Manhattan Club.
And this concludes this broadcast of TimeSharing Today Radio. You know, whether you're an owner or an industry professional, your opinions, suggestions, and experiences are all very important to us. So if you'd like to participate in a future broadcast, or if you'd like to suggest a topic for TimeSharing Today Radio, please send an email to staff@tstoday.com. So until next time, happy time sharing.